What is good? It's your boy Ty back here with another video, and in this video today, guys, we're going to be going over our top small forwards in NBA 2K23 My Team and ranking them on a tier list. Now, what I would encourage you guys to do before watching this video is if you missed out on the point guard or shooting guard list, make sure to go watch that, because like on the small forward list, for example, guys like Tracy McGrady, I didn't put on here just because, look, if you're running T-Mac, he's a 2. A guy like Kawhi, JT, KD, I guess, are more acceptable at the small forward position, so I did include those on this list. Now again, that's just my personal opinion. You guys don't have to agree with me, and again, that's just the way it is, okay? Not everybody is going to agree that, you know, a guy like Kawhi is more playable at the 3 than a guy like a T-Mac. But without further ado, let's hop into it, and as we dive into our first guy here, make sure to smash that subscribe button. The recent support has been out of this world, so thank you guys, each and every one of you. Carmelo Anthony, is it bad if I put him at D tier? Is that bad? My whole thing is this: I know he's a free locker code, and because of that, I'll put him at D tier. I don't think he's F tier, and he's got a decent enough release for a free lock code. My whole thing with Melo is he like next level good? Is he, you know, that man with the plan? I just don't know if I see Melo as that. And again, I'm not saying Carmelo's bad. I'm not saying you can't use him or have success with him. I'm just talking about like a small forward that, you know, is worth playing at this point. I just don't see it with Melo. And a lot of these playoff cards, honestly, I've used Conchar, MPJ, Jeff Green, I haven't used too much. Now, Conchar isn't D tier, but when it comes down to MPJ, Jeff Green, is it bad if I leave them at D tier? I mean, maybe it goes like this, but even with Jeff Green, I don't really know exactly, right? I'm just kind of guessing with him because I've not used the card. So, I mean, I guess this is where I'd have people right now. I don't love MPJ. I don't even love, I said Conchar, Chanchar. I don't even love any of these cards. I guess right now this is where I'd have them ranked, but again, it's not an exact science. Caleb Martin up next. Let's talk about Caleb Martin for a little bit, man. I wish he could play the 2. Because if he could play the 2, a lot more people would be talking about Caleb Martin. As far as a guy that can just purely go get you a bucket, Caleb Martin is up there with everybody else in my team. Not only at the small forward position, in my team. 6'5", movement good, everything else is good. He's just a little undersized. Poku at this stage, I'm going to go... My whole thing is Poku better than that dark Melo free locker code Melo? I don't know if he is. I'm going to throw him a D tier. And honestly, I'm going to move Melo up to C tier. Right, wrong, or indifferent, this is where I've got guys. I just think Melo's release is so easy to time and easy to green that he has got to be C tier. Galaxy Opal AK-47. I might have to move people down, because AK is better than Caleb Martin, and he's better than Conchar. I know it's not the Dark Matter AK, but I don't think it matters. So what I'm going to do is this. Move people down. Because I feel like AK is just that man with the plan. And again, I'm not trying to just sit here and gas AK. I'm just trying to give you guys an accurate tier list. AK over Caleb Martin. You guys might be asking, well, Ty, how is AK better than Caleb Martin? Well, he's just taller, right? That's the main thing. Caleb Martin's going to move better. Caleb Martin, both have good releases. I would say Caleb Martin's release is that little bit better, though. And so when it comes down to it, why do I like AK more? He's 6'9", going to play great defense. And he's got a great release at that small forward position. I really do like this AK. Glorious AK, I guess I'll go A tier for now. We, again, might have to move people around, because even the Glorious AK at the small forward position, I don't want to say he's undersized, but he's low-key a little undersized. I think that might be Glorious's AK's best position, though, right? If you go watch my shooting guard list, he's going to be at A tier as well, just because I don't know how much of a primary ball handler he could be. I love Dark Matter AK, though. Good release, good movement all the way around. Out of position, Bill Russell. Am I wrong to put him at B tier? My whole thing is AK is better than him. I know a lot of people like Bill Russell, but we've got to take into consideration he has the Eric Pascal base only. And I'm not trying to make people mad, but it's only on quick, okay? So his release isn't that quick. I know he's going to play a lot of defense, but as far as the whole picture, I don't think Bill Russell is better than this AK, the Dark Matter AK. That's just my opinion. Blake Griffin's not very good. I mean, he's just not. I think D tier is the right spot. Maybe C. I'll go C tier because I guess he's 6'10", wide player, model player, but I just got to be honest with you. Blake Griffin is not great, not ideal in my team. Bobby Jones, C tier as well. I mean, Bobby Jones is going to play a lot of defense. His release just leaves a lot to be desired in my team. I don't mind Bobby Jones. But again, his release is not good in my team. They could have given him, what was it last year, the jump shot 4 base. I think it's the Jalen Noel base of this year, if I'm remembering correctly. They gave him that in past years, and that would have even been solid. They gave him a set shot base. It is easy to time and easy to green. I'd say that a lot of the set shots are, but does that make them good? No. I mean, it's still just not ultimately a great release in my team. Nedelecki up next. Am I crazy for putting him in A tier? Be honest with me. Because here's my opinion on Bob, okay? Here's my opinion. He's undersized. His defense is not great, but his release is outstanding. I think B tier is the right spot for Bob. And again, this is coming from a guy who on my No Money Spent right now, I'm running Bob. So y'all can't even say, well, Ty, Bob is good. Ty, Bob is... I run Bob. I know what he's capable of. I just think he's a little undersized. And if you look at Bob's defensive stats, they are not impressive. The only reason Bob is impressive or people really like this card is because of what the Opal Bob was. Yes, Dark Matter Bob is still good, and you should grind out the spotlight if you need a good small forward, but any higher than B tier would just not be right. And Bob Pettit, I'm throwing at C tier. I get it, right? For his time, Bob Pettit was okay. And okay is okay because he came out a month and a half ago at this stage. C tier is fine for him. I mean, he doesn't, not every card has to be the best card in the game, and Bob Pettit certainly is not. For me, he's just a worse version of a Bob Nedelecki, where at least Bob Nedelecki has the best release in the game. For Bob Pettit, his release, I don't want to say it's bad. I think it's very mid and mediocre in my team, though. Bol is up next. I put both of them on the list because I want to talk about both of them. Obviously, the hero Bol is going to be better. I think people overstate it, though. Bol is good. Why is Bol good? It's because of his height, okay? And the height is going to be the same on the interdimensional Bol. It's going to be the same on the hero Bol. Yes, obviously the hero Bol plays better defense. There's no questions asked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But is it enough to separate them tiers? No. Both Bols are S tier. And I think they're two of the best small forwards in the entire game. Now, obviously, we know who's coming very soon. And if he has small forward eligibility, a good night. But for now, Bol is S tier. Scal up next. Say what you want. I really rate Brian Scalabrine. I'm putting him at B tier. And you guys might be like, what, Ty? Over Conchar? Over Caleb Martin? Yes. Why? Scal's the whole picture. If you want to do something, do me a favor. Look up Scal's defensive stats and his defensive badges. They're absolutely magnificent. Good release as well. Scal is kind of underrated in my team. I don't necessarily love his height, but he fits the AK Bob role pretty well. Carmelo Anthony up next. Is he A tier? B tier. Here's my deal with Melo at the 3. And again, this is why I feel like it's a disservice to even put Melo on this small forward tier list. Because he is a shooting guard. Carmelo Anthony is a shooting guard. If you're putting him at 6'8", is he better than AK, Bill Russell, Bob, Scout? All of those guys are taller. All those guys are probably going to play better defense. I don't think so. And I think he's more comparable to those guys than a guy like Dark Matter, AK. Now again, that's my personal opinion. But I even on my shooting guard tier list, I didn't have Melo that high because what does he really do that well on the court for you? Cedric Maxwell up next. D tier. I'm sorry. No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this because Melo's better than Cedric. And MPJ. I think I like this a little more. Melo and MPJ got to get out of D tier. They just don't belong there. Cedric Maxwell, again, is similar to the whole Chris Mullin thing. People were excited about them, but it was all because of based off what they've done in past years. Those cards are not great in my team. It's that simple, that easy. Chet S tier, no questions asked. People ask me all the time, well, Ty, is Chet the best small forward of the game? I say yes. Does that mean he's worth locking in? No. Okay, I'll hold on to that. He's not worth locking in because, I mean, at this stage, obviously, if you have all the MT in the world, do what you got to do. But not worth locking in, but still is really, really solid. Best shooting guard or small forward in the entire game. Oh, my gosh. Gallinari next. Danilo Gallinari is a hear me out. He's a bona fide scrub that can't play. You know what, Gallinari? I don't even think you deserve to be on this tier list. That's how bad you are. I don't even think I should have included you, right? Because when it comes down to the small forward position, nobody should even mention this card. That's how bad he is. He's the reason I lost some unlimited games this season. You reek, Gallo. You absolutely reek. You bona fide scrub that shouldn't even be on this tier list. Ferry up next. I'm going to go B tier for Ferry. He had his time in my team. His time is just not now. He's still 6'10", good frame. Very similar to like a guy like Bill Russell and going to give you a lot on the court. Dave Cowens, you can throw him at B tier as well. I mean, Cowens, what is he? 6'9", good frame, decent release. Like, he does a lot of things for you. But I'll say a lot of those collector level rewards, they're just not as advertised. Like, you think, based off their stats, based off their badges, that they would be good. But when it comes down to it, they're just not really that good in my team. And I'm not trying to sit here and slander people grinding collector level, but that's just the pure truth. Dennis Rodman up next, you're D tier. Do not get me started on Dennis Rodman in my team. Don't get me started on it. I get defensively he's going to do his thing. Because that's like a common debate is. When I say, oh my gosh, Dennis Rodman stinks. People are like, Todd, he's really good defensively. You should see what he does for me defensively. I don't care about his defense. I know he's going to defend. Jermaine O'Neal can go out there and defend. Heck, Tom Chambers can go out there and defend. Heck, anybody can go out there and defend. Give me some offense, man, please. Derek Coleman up next. I'm going to throw Derek Coleman in C tier, although I do like him. I just think he's more fitting in C tier than B tier, but I do like Derek Coleman. If he's, let's say, one of your small forwards, you are just fine with Derek Coleman. This guy can play in my team, and so can Elvin Hayes. This might be an unpopular opinion, but if you've used Elvin Hayes, you know the guy can play. And if you're, let's say you're just starting my team and you get Elvin Hayes on your road to level 40, he can hold it down at that small forward position. He absolutely can. Trust me, I've used Elvin Hayes and had some success with him. Purvis listed up next, B tier. Mr. Perv is B tier. I like him over Danny Ferry, especially at the small forward position. You know, if we're talking power forwards, then obviously it might change a little bit. Perv, good release, good movement. Just kind of the whole package in my team. Franz Wagner, you stink, D tier. I mean, they could have at least given you shooting guard eligibility because they didn't give you anything else. It's not like you can, oh, well, Franz can do this, Franz can do that. Franz really can't do anything on the court. He's kind of mid in my team. If you got him, cool, but he's basically useless. Giannis up next. This is gonna leave a lot of people mad. He's S tier. My small forwards go Chet, Bobo, and Giannis at the time I'm recording this video. I like Giannis. I know his release isn't great, but he's got 99 everything, so he's going to play lanes because he's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Hate Giannis if you want. He is S tier for me. Again, I don't make the rules. JT, Jason Tatum up next. A tier. A tier. A tier. I'm confident with it. He's better than Melo. His release is good. The only problem with JT is he is 6'8". That's the only problem. But I still think he's A tier, right? Him and AK, in my opinion, are on a very similar level. I think JT is going to get you stops. Thank gosh they updated his release. Because if they wouldn't have updated his release, he'd probably be B tier, maybe even C tier. But with the updated release, I do think he's A tier. Jeremy Grant up next. I'm going D tier with Jeremy Grant. I think Elvin Hayes is better than Jeremy, and I think Jeremy's like the higher level reward, which is kind of backwards and doesn't really make sense. But Jeremy's release this year has just always left a little bit to be desired. This card is no different. Jermaine O'Neal up next. This one's tough. I'm going to go B tier, but you guys got to listen to why, okay? He's 6'11". He's 6'11". That's why he's in B tier. He's not in B tier because of anything else outside of the fact that he's 6'11" and he's got great badges, okay? He's going to be able to compete against some of the other bigs. Yes, Jermaine O'Neal's release is horrible, but even his movement, guys, is solid enough, okay? So, yes, I get it if you're going to say, well, Todd, Jermaine O'Neal's release is horrible. You know what? You're right. I'm not going to sit up here in front of you guys and argue that. But his dribble moves are good. He's 6'11". Does a lot of things for you. Ben Man, B tier as well. Jonathan Bender's longevity is something that's impressive, okay? And if you're looking for a cheap pink diamond, Jonathan Bender is really solid. Again, I don't know what his price is anymore. A lot of it depends if can you green with the tray up or it's only on quick, so you should be able to. Bender is B tier in my opinion, though. I think it's tough to argue anybody at C tier better than Jonathan Bender outside of Caleb Martin. If you want to argue Caleb Martin higher, that's fine, but he's only 6'5", and that makes things really, really difficult. Jonathan Isaac up next. I'm throwing him at A tier. Here's the deal for Jonathan Isaac, okay? as far as 6'11", he's basically a Jermaine O'Neal that offensively is a lot better. Now, obviously, Jermaine's movement and I think his dribble sigs are better, but Jonathan Isaacs has a pure release. It's not necessarily the quickest in the game, so don't quote me on that. But he's got a pure release, straight up and down, easy to time, easy to green. His movement is good enough. Isaac is an easy A tier addition for me. Josh Smith up next. I'm going B tier. Some people might want me to argue A tier. That's just not me though. I get his release is better, okay? Thank gosh he finally got a usable release. And again, Josh Smith, budget-wise at the small forward position is really good. But I can't go any higher than B tier. You're talking about guys like this Bob and Josh Smith. They're different, right? Josh Smith's better stat-wise. Bob, in my opinion, has a better release. I do think they are both B tier. Julius Randle's a garbage man in my team. He's D tier. I mean, I've used Julius Randle, and even in my gameplay, I was chicken man with him. But he's 6'8". He's 6'8", his movement's not great. There's just a really short list of things Julius Randle is good at in my team. Karl Malone, the mailman, is good. He's B tier. I've used Karl Malone, and I've had a decent amount of success with him. Obviously, if you don't want to use Karl Malone, you know, because he's not a good person, I get that, right? For me, it's been always the same thing. If they're good in my team, I'll use them, man. It's just that simple. It's that easy. Karl Malone B tier. Again, a really solid budget option. I think he's not the same as Josh Smith, but very similar, right? They both have the kind of that wider player build. They're both pretty solid in general. And I like both the cards. Both B tier, in my opinion, though. Invincible Kawhi at the 3. I go A tier. I still like him more than Melo. He's got a good release. It's just hard because he's only 6'7". At least with Kawhi, he's going to get some defensive animation, stuff like that. But again, he's just a little short for me. Movement-wise, incredible. Can be your secondary ball handler. Can do all that, but better at the 2. Endgame KD, he's S tier. Honestly, Endgame KD might move Giannis down to A tier. Here's the deal. KD is better at the 2. There's no questioning that. I've never argued that. But if you have to, let's say, move KD to the 3 eventually, I don't know if you, let's say Wemby's a shooting guard tomorrow, or whatever the case is, and you have to move KD to the shooting guard, to the small forward, he can do it. It's just he's the best at the shooting guard position. KG up next, A tier. KG is one that's interesting, right? Because it's not like his movement is great. It's not like he's gonna be great on the court for you. Honestly, KG is just, you know what you're getting. LaMelo based on very quick. Easy to time, easy to green. Plays good defense. That's what KG provides. Basically, very similar to Jonathan Isaac. Kevin McHale B tier. When Kevin McHale first came out, I was like low-key impressed because the card looked really good. But he's a collector level, and it's weird. Every collector level reward, basically, just does not be, they're not as good as they're advertised. Like, how many Kevin McHales have you seen? Yes, there's not many people going for a collector level, but even if people are going for a collector level, there's cards in the auction house that are 5K better than Kevin McHale. That's the big problem. Kuz up next. I think Kuz is, he's B tier. He's B tier. B tier is like the tier of like just kind of guys that can hold it down for you. Not necessarily next level good, but like even between Kuz and a guy, let's say like Bob, those guys are preference. Kuz and Brian Scalabrine. Preference, right? Kuz, I don't like the upper. I know a lot of people do. That's kind of my problem with it. I struggle to agree with it. But otherwise, very, very solid in my team. Larry Legend up next, A tier. And I know people are going to be mad that I have Larry Legend in A tier where they probably have him, I don't know, at S tier. He's 6'9". He is absolutely incredible. I love the card. And if you got Larry Bird, you don't have to buy KD. You don't have to get Giannis. You don't have to get Chet. He can absolutely hold it down. But so can everybody else at A tier, right? It's that simple, that easy. I do love Larry. And if you can green with him, he should play for you for a very long time. But A tier is as high as I can go. The Marksman, Lauri Markkanen up next. I guess because he's 7 feet tall, B tier. I don't like Lauri's release, though. Or Larry's release. I don't like Larry's release. I'm sorry I pronounce his name wrong sometimes. It's just one that leaves a lot to be desired. He plays because he's 7 feet tall, but that's about it. Big Bron up next at the small forward position, A tier. I mean, I like him more at the small forward than the shooting guard because then you're not relying on his movement and you can just play him as kind of that 3-and-D type player in my team. And I think that's where LeBron is going to be at his best. Problem is, like, I mean, is he still better than a guy like Giannis, KD? I don't think so. And then you guys got to realize the only reason Giannis is at S tier is because he is 6'11" and his player build elite. And he can bang against the giants of the world. That's why Giannis is at S tier. Bantam, I think Bantam's a step down from Purvis Ferry. I'm putting Bantam at C tier. Obviously, if you got the Billy Knight duo, you can have him higher. But for me, C tier is the option. Nat Clifton, if you're talking about a guy to running like triple threat offline, I love Nat Clifton. The problem is he's 6'6", and if you go into an online type game, I mean, it's tough because he's 6'6". What are you going to do with him? Like, at least with Kawhi, he does more than Nat Clifton, especially defensively. Siakam, D tier, borderline F tier. If y'all can green with Siakam, I'll give you credit. Because I can't. I can't green with him in play now. I can't green with him in my team. Siakam kind of stakes in my team. I'm going with D tier. Next up, guys, Rick Barry. He kind of stinks too. I don't like his release, only 6'7", he's D tier. And it's weird that some of these all-time rewards, like they'll change the release of, they'll make really solid. And then other guys, they'll do what they do to Rick Barry. Not even give him shooting guard eligibility, you know, make his release really, I don't want to say bad, but just not great in my team. It's just so weird what they're doing with some of these spotlights. Rudy at the 3. B tier. He's at the top of B tier, but he's better at the shooting guard position. Because if you're comparing Rudy at the 3 to Karl Malone, who am I taking? I don't know. Because Karl Malone defensively is going to be better. He's going to get you more stops. And so that's the tough part with Rudy. I think at the small forward position, he is B tier. Scotty P, A tier. Scotty, 3 and D. And it's similar to Bron. I don't think Bron or Scotty should be your primary ball leader. So I actually think both those guys are better at the 3 than the 2. It might sound crazy, but that's kind of my opinion. Scotty has one of the smoothest releases in the entire game. If you miss with Scottie Pippen, that's on you. Shane Battier up next. I think at the 3, he's C tier. My whole thing is at the 2, sure, he's 6'8", gives you good height, good 3 and D option. At the 3, I mean, just leaves a little bit to be desired. Sean Kemp, right in that car. Honestly, Karl Malone, Josh Smith, and Sean Kemp. Start, bench, cut. That would be a good one. Right now, I'd probably start Malone, bench, Smith, cut, Kemp. But they are on that same similar tier, right? And I think they're all inseparable. They're all going to give you very, very similar things. Terry Cummings, really solid. Honestly, I'm throwing Terry at B tier. I can't. Derek Coleman, C tier. So I guess Terry's got to be C tier. Nah, you know what? I don't like Larry either. Larry Marketing is C tier. His release is horrible. And he can't move like Jermaine O'Neal. I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? I might move some people down. Let's do it. Let's move some. You know what, Ty? Let's move some people down. Okay. It's tough to do though. It's really tough to do. So if I'm gonna move some people down, Shane Battier at the. No, he can't. I mean, Franz. I think Franz is probably C tier. I'm just gonna leave it at this. It's just hard because B and C tier is just hard to separate them. Like. Larry is 7 feet tall. I'll give him B tier. I just don't love the card. Thurl Bailey, A tier. I do not care. Thurl Bailey's better than Rudy at the 3. He's better than Kemp. He's better than Karl. He's better than Josh Smith. He's better than Bill Russell. He's better than Opal AK. Galaxy Opal, Hero Thurl Bailey to me is A tier. And y'all can debate a wall because I really don't care. He's A tier to me. Best budget card in the entire game. TT up next. This one's tough. I love TT. He's S tier. And I know people are going to hate me for that. But I absolutely love TT. Let's say you've got Invincible T-Mac, the Endgame KD, Hero TT, and you have not locked in Chet. That's what I would do. I would run TT at the 3 and just hoop with that. Because who else are you going to run, right? That's my question. If let's say you've locked in for Manute, but don't have Chet and you have Bobo, TT can be your other 3, and I do not have any issues with it. To me, he's S tier. I love Tim Thomas in my team. Tom Chambers is not that bad. I think he's B tier. If you want to argue lower in C tier, maybe. But he's really not that bad. If you've ever used Tom Chambers, you probably know. No, he's not. Because him and Bob Pettit, he's not. It's just so hard. B and C tier are so close for me to separate these two. He's C tier, though, at the end of the day. Kukoc, I guess B tier. I don't like, I honestly, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. I've never figured it out with Tony Kukoc. But a lot of people have. A lot of people like the card. I think B tier is the right option for him. Xavier McDaniel, B tier. I got no hesitation with Xavier McDaniel. No hesitation. I love the card. Defensively is really solid. 6'9", decent frame. I liked Xavier McDaniel when he came out. And it's just like 2K still just, I mean, keeps releasing these super packs where Thurl Bailey's cheap, X-Man's cheap. All of these cards are cheap. As much as I like Zach Randolph, you guys, and I'm not saying this in the wrong way, majority of you guys are not going to have success with Zebo. As much as I like him, as much as he's hooped on the Nobody's Pet, the majority of you guys watching this are not going to like Zebo over a guy like Xavier McDaniel. So I'm going to put him in C tier because that's the realistic tier. And I love Zebo in my team. Big Z last, but certainly not least. This is tough. Base Big Z is A tier. Base Big Z is A tier. I love Big Z, but base Big Z is A tier. The big thing is, if you can get a Big Z with 30 plus Hall of Famers, he's S tier. And I'm telling you that because that's the pure honest truth. Big Z can match up with anybody on the court. He can do anything you ask of him. Badged up Big Z is S tier. That's going to wrap it up for our tier list. I might get cooked on this tier list, but it's hard, right? It's hard separating B and C tier. It's really hard to do when it comes down to it. So if you want to cook me on this tier list, I'm all ears. But this was probably one of the harder tier lists I've ever had to do. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments, guys. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you aren't doing that. As always, man, I love you guys, and have a blessed day.